Back in 2002, Jhonen Vasquez's dark sci-fi comedy Invader Zim was canceled just 27 episodes into its run, and yet its cultural status has ballooned into something comparable to many other beloved Nicktoons with much longer lives. But in 2019, a property canceled too soon is ripe for revival. Into the Florpus is a lot like what Serenity did with Firefly, taking the basic crux of its sci-fi story and hurrying it along to what feels like the ultimate climax, stuffed with lots of action and big character moments. At times, that makes for an immensely fun watch, but like Joss Whedon's big screen conclusion to his own cult classic, it likely would have been more satisfying had it played out over the course of a season of television. More than 15 years later, Invader Zim's signature animation is still its greatest strength. From small disturbing details to the operatic perspectives of various characters' plans come to fruition, this story continues to find life in how it's drawn, exaggerating and pulling back in all the precise areas it needs to make an extreme visual impact. Extreme has always been a good word to describe this series, as it largely found comedy in juxtaposing Zim's lofty apocalyptic ambitions with the banality of his overall life on Earth. For its first half, Enter the Florpus makes good on that premise. Of course, Zim and Dib in some way have to cordially come together after all this time. The symbiotic nature of their adversarial relationship is what drives the show, after all. Here, it's a feeling of not being understood that does the trick. Just as Zim's alien lords think him small and incapable, Dib's scientist father is dismissive of just about every idea his highly intelligent, albeit eccentric son expresses. Invader Zim has always had the outcasts on its mind, and that theme is explored well here as both of its leads search for meaning while on a journey they believe they're taking alone. Then, the second half of the movie dives headfirst into series finale territory. What's most appealing about this is we get to see Zim the closest he's ever gotten to achieving a full-blown victory in his quest to take over the Earth. It's exciting to see the series' mythology essentially culminate, especially as Dib fights to save the Earth while having to resolve his family issues. All this heavy talk, however, doesn't alter the fact that Enter the Florpus is as funny as the show ever was, without any real change to the types of jokes it's telling. There's still a lot of over-the-top physical comedy, highly exaggerated facial expressions, and thankfully, Gur doing what Gur does best.
Like this?
The comedy does slow down a bit as the fate of the world comes into play, and that's where the movie runs into a bit of trouble. By rushing into the climactic showdown that's been brewing since the series premiered in 2001, the epic tone feels out of place in some moments of the finale. It doesn't help that by the time it's all over, the show pretty much resets itself so that were Vasquez or another writer interested, Invader Zim could continue without really skipping a beat. Into the Florpus didn't need to be a grand conclusion to the series, but it's also a movie that wants to have genuine stakes and then all but erases them in its final few moments. But even so, a lot of what made Invader Zim a cult classic is on full display throughout this mini-movie. While it's not as thoughtful as Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling, it is the essence of Invader Zim. Considering fans got the short end of the stick when the show was canceled in 2002, it's hard to argue that this movie needed to be anything else.
You're helpless to stop me, Chair Dib! So long!
There are quibbles to be had with Enter the Florpus' story, which acts more like a series finale right up until its final moments, but overall, this is a fun dive back into a cult classic that retains just about everything that made the show great to begin with. The sci-fi elements are fun, the humor is wildly absurd, and the animation is breathtaking. In this case, that's enough for the return to be worth the wait. For more reviews, check out our spoiler review of Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And as always, subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.
Gamescom is the biggest gaming event on Earth, and IGN at Gamescom Now is bringing it to you live all week long. We've got exclusive gameplay, demos, cosplay, esports, and so much more. If you can't be here in person, IGN at Gamescom Now is the next best thing. IGN Live at Gamescom is presented by Alienware. Alienware, we're game.